In a year full of incredible achievements in gaming, all of them PlayStation 4 exclusives, Sony has saved one of the best and brightest for last. Ghost of Tsushima has arrived in fantastic fashion, emerging as a milestone in open world and graphic design, and announcing itself firmly as visually the most beautiful game ever made by some measure. This is the game that Sucker Punch has been working toward its entire existence, save for the masterpiece that is Sly 2 Band of Thieves, as well as the game the industry has been craving all generation long. This game reaffirms Sucker Punch's status as one of the premier developers in not just Sony's conglomerate of studios, but as a leader of the entire video game world as a whole. When talking about swan songs, Tsushima is not only the song signaling the end, but in some ways, the true swan of the generation, pointing the way for what the next great games should be. The most visually astonishing game ever designed, it will be the marker for graphical excellence and environmental exploration in the future, with all subsequent comparisons of the like inevitable to reference Ghost of Tsushima by name. One of the most immersive open world games ever made, with a spotless world design, both in the graphical department and in the interaction with a living, breathing world that takes its time and never rushes you to move on to the next objective. The world of Tsushima is in full, magnificent bloom, with sublime symmetry that rivals real-life scenery. Traversal in Tsushima is effortless and sleek, with wind as a creative substitute for a minimap, meaning limited but organic user interface for immersion and the ability to fast travel in mere seconds. The dynamic lighting is awe-inspiring, easily the best lighting effects ever done, with gradual weather changes that amplify the intensity and frequency of the glow to create a wide array of illustrious color palettes in every biome, and there are enough individual biomes and variations on them to ensure that each rendering is nuanced and you never get the same experience twice. Ghost is undisputably the GOAT graphically. This game was made with some of the most painstaking design ever implemented into a work of art. Every frame that you see is like an expressionist painting. No video game has ever been infused with this much gorgeousness this often. Every level is distinct in its design, polished in presentation, and intricately layered with seamless environments that are prepossessed by life, brimming by the ebb and flow of rhythmic movement that ensure that there is never a dull moment in traversing this world. This game plays like a symphony. Because of the varied design choices, you never get the impression that you've been to the same area twice unless you literally revisit an area already previously discovered. Tsushima seems to have taken notes on all of the known formulas for what a great game should be during this generation, at least in practical terms. Here, Sucker Punch inarguably shows mastery in 4 distinct genres: open world, world design, stealth, and platforming. This synthesis results in what is perhaps the greatest and most polished technical achievement of the generation. It is mind-boggling to think that Tsushima is only 35 gigabytes on a standard PlayStation 4, this being a reference to the 35mm common standard format in film. Truly a magic number. Programmers at work at Sucker Punch are outstanding. Though the quieter release of the summer, this game is half the size and twice as good as the other title that Sony launched just prior. The particular weak point of Tsushima shows in some of the generic and predictable writing through a very brief 10-hour main story and mostly 1 or 2 dimensional characters, with side quests outweighing the main content and an estimated 40 to 50 hour playtime for the Platinum Trophy. However, you can, for the most part, play at your own pace, explore and discover at will, only needing to progress the main story to unlock the new islands. Without going into spoilers, I will say that the ending is a satisfying conclusion with a few thematic high points in the later acts. Though the dialogue is often dull and the characters feel hard to connect to or identify with outside of common tropes, the concept for the story is good, with Jin, the main character, learning to adapt to the nature of the Mongol menace, how war has changed, and grapple with his own concept of morality and identity and the code of the samurai. His legend grows into the Ghost as he fashions himself to be both an attested ally and a foe to be feared. The main attraction, of course, is the appearance of this game. which is undeniably alluring. The beauty is as pleasing and poetic as the haiku, one edition of perhaps the most thoughtful and chill collectible search in any game, inserted as an easy and fresh activity guide for trophy hunters. Friendly foxes freely lead you to shrines that upgrade your techniques. You can sharpen your skills on bamboo strikes to increase your resolve meter for special abilities, and there are plenty of other cool cosmetics to collect through your journey. This game deserves serious praise for its inventiveness in the category of clever and appropriate miscellaneous world activities. These are some of the best I've ever seen in an open world game, and among the most relaxing and fun for trophy hunting. Though formidable, the decoration is never staggering in its display. It never feels like an obstacle to overcome, simply an opportunity to embrace the exquisite. The images themselves can be inhibiting, but if you stop and stare too long, you'll miss out on what's to come, and it's always around the corner. No image is ever repeated, the beauty never fleeting, the desire never indolent. The pacing, like the flow of particles, is effervescent and constant. Photo mode unto itself would qualify as one of the best forays into gaming of this year or any other. Ever so striking, Tsushima never feels like it's showing off in this fully realized recreation of a long-lost but not forgotten time period. Rather than invoking the kind of introspection derived from viewing exhibits in a museum, playing Tsushima elicits the thrills you'd feel as only you could if you were to actually visit Rome and tour the Colosseum, or, in this case, the bamboo forest of Kyoto, the island shrines of Tsushima, and the temple cities of Nara. You never have to expend effort to indulge yourself. From the very beginning, you simply and willingly give yourself up to this fabulous arcade of intoxicating imagery and uninhibited exploration. Beauty is the operative word most commonly used to describe Tsushima. Any number of superlative synonyms could be used to label the sweeping, astonishing aesthetic of this game. The best comparison I can give to this game, strictly optically, is from film. If ever there were a video game equivalent to cinema, visually, this is the Barry Lyndon of video games. If you haven't seen or heard of Barry Lyndon, I strongly recommend it to you as the prime example of beauty, just as this game thematically echoes the action of Kurosawa in so many frames. The title of this game and the meaning behind it have long been mysterious, but when we think of the Ghost of Tsushima, this is what we expect from his ghastly presence. The melee mechanics and stealth combat both borrow a lot from other games, as well as the platforming, but this also ignores the influence that Sucker Punch has had on these genres respectively. Either way, the combat feels fresh and is skillful. The difficulty is balanced, as well as being highly customizable with the freedom to combine techniques and armor acquisitions into a variety of specialized builds. Enemy types are basic, but each one requires an adjustment of playstyle on the fly, ensuring exciting engagement in battles both big and small, particularly in the stylish standoffs and daring duels. Thanks to the simplicity of controls, the cinematic setups, and the ever-evolving environments, I never grew tired of these encounters throughout my 50-hour run. More than just a spectacle, more than just incursion with imagery, Tsushima is very much as hands-on as it is eyes-on. The bloodshed is bewitching, the combat inputs are impeccable with no delay time, and the difficulty is fair, just right for most reaction times. There's been a long-standing and highly contested debate between those that view video games as an art form on par with music, sculpture, painting, and film, and those that view them only as trivial, time-wasting distractions. But I think that those serious about this back and forth need only to rest your case when you feel that playing a game has had a direct effect on lightening your mood or stirring your passions. Whichever the criteria, Tsushima checks the boxes. Whereas movies have long been described as passive and video games as interactive entertainment, Ghost of Tsushima can only be described as an experience of the sensory kind. The game activates your receptors for sight and sound, color and vibration, an evocation of art as the highest form. A game as breathtakingly beautiful as Tsushima never leaves you far away from sensory overload. But this is not the objective here. Each frame of the canvas is filled with brushstrokes that are majestic, tranquil, and as serene as the samurai themselves. The experience of playing Tsushima is surely stirring in substance as you take in the aura and the ambience of your surroundings in endless doses, balanced both in backdrop and at the foreground, and almost otherworldly in its presentation of style, both authentic and elegant in this restoration of hypnotic history, retelling the fabric of feudal fate. It could easily be said that even with all the illustrious animation, that the manifestation of a living, breathing open world is the game's greatest achievement. There are, of course, things to work on, but Ghost of Tsushima in and of itself is a great send-off for the PS4. Ghost of Tsushima is short of being a perfect game or even a masterpiece, but I don't think it is too far off from being a 10 out of 10 with some slight improvements such as a better story and more replay value. It is, however, an excellent game, a must-play, a 9 out of 10 on the new true scale, 9 being a great game, astonishing, extravagant, and exceptional. Ghost of Tsushima is what happens when talented people fully embrace the power of video games wholeheartedly. PlayStation 5 is up next, and with the example set by Tsushima, the horizon looks beaming. Thank you to Sucker Punch and Sony.
Look at this game, dude.